Hey, welcome back to Table It, where the strong ones finally speak. If this is your first time here, this is a space where we don't pretend, we don't sugarcoat, and we don't stay silent anymore. Before I even had a voice, my life was almost taken from me. And for a long time, I lived like I didn't matter. See, I was never supposed to be here. That's not something people usually say out loud, but that was my reality. And when your life starts like that, it does something to you. Even if nobody say it directly, you feel it. You grow up questioning your worth, your place, your purpose. Then you begin to ask yourself, like, why am I here? See, as a child, I went through things I didn't understand, things I didn't have words for. And when you're that young, you don't know it's wrong. And matter of fact, I didn't even realize anything that was being done to me was wrong until I was 17. Because, like me, others may have just thought this must be normal. Everybody doing it to me. And the part people don't talk about, how silence teach you to accept things that were never meant to be accepted. Growing up, all I knew was to sweep everything under the rug. Because all my life, everything that ever happened to me was swept under the rug. So, how you learn to survive instead of speak, just stay silent. I know a lot of you guys is probably listening and asking yourself, how could she not know this is wrong? How could she think that this is normal? See, I have been preyed upon as far back as I can remember, the age of 5. That's the first time I can remember anything. And I had several predators that was preying upon me at that time. One between 5 and 6, the other one between 5 and 10, and then 10 to 17. 3 different predators. The first predator, you know, I actually said something because I kind of felt like this was not supposed to have been happening, and I'm 6 years old. So I remember going to my grandmother and telling her. And I guess with everything that was going on, she never dealt with nothing like that before. And all I can remember is her fussing at the predator. And everything was being swept under the rug. Because after that, the offense kept happening. Then, second predator that came into my life, far as I know, he's been around since I was born. Uh, but he began to prey upon me around the same time, which was 5. And it ended when I was 10. The only way that it even came out, because after me telling my grandmother and my grandmother telling my mother, and I guess with me not understanding and no one really sitting me down talking to me and telling me, no, that this is not right, I'm thinking it's supposed to be what it is. So second predator became in and started preying upon me. And the only reason why it was out was because at the age of 9 and a half, 9 to 9 and a half, I never would forget this moment. I had a breakout. My mom and that predator, because my mom was married to him at the time, rushed me to the hospital Christmas Eve. And as a child, I was always scared of needles. So I remember them talking me into, well, bribing me rather, to let them draw blood. They even went as far as giving me what they called the butterfly needle, letting me hold it so I can be comfortable, and told me that it's not going to hurt like the other ones would. So I allowed them to do that. And we waited a couple hours, and the results came in. Uh, at the age of 9.5, I was diagnosed with herpes complex 1, I believe. I can't even remember. All I know is everybody was in a state of confusion. My mom still didn't really know what was going on. She assumed I got it from sitting on a toilet, a public toilet. Um, and she had to be pulled over to the side, told no, this was a sexual transmitted disease. The whole time, me silent, still not understanding. My predator hearing all of this. So my predator was outed once CPS got involved. CPS then began to come and pick me up from school, after school, taking me to their office and asking me all kinds of questions. Why, wow, making me think that it's okay. And I opened up basically. So when it came out that it was actually my predator that my mom was married to, um, they then told my mom that he was looking at 5 to 15 years for each offense that I can remember. So, like I said before, far back as I can remember was 5. So I remembered a lot because this was an ongoing situation that happened every day of my life up until he killed himself. Yep, my predator decided to kill himself. So I would say that was the worst thing. That was the worst day of my life, by him killing himself, because not only do I have to deal with the fact of not understanding what's going on with me, and that he actually preyed upon me, and that this was not supposed to happen. He ups and killed himself before I can get any answer or come into the age or the maturity of knowing that something bad happened to me. For me to even look him in his eyes and say, you wronged me. You did this to me. And to really tell him how I felt for my trauma. After having all these different predators preying up on me, no one sitting me down to tell me that this isn't right, I really went through life thinking no, or saying no, was not an option for me. I had no voice. Now I'm going to take you guys back a little further. At the beginning of this segment, I told you guys that I wasn't supposed to be here. My mom and my dad had my brother when they were 18. Me and my brother are 14 months apart. When my mom got pregnant with me, she was not ready because my brother was still a baby. So her and my dad wanted an abortion. Can you believe that I was given a chance at life because of $21? My mom was in the abortion clinic ready, waiting to have this abortion done, while my dad ran to the ATM to get the money. And during that time, of course, they want to change your mind by showing you the videos, letting you know what happened through abortion. And when my mom watching the video, thank God she had a change of heart. And it does something to her for her to see how the human life is being taken in such a gruesome way. So the devil tried to take me out before I even breathe my, breathe my first breath, before I can take my first breath in the world. So since he seen that that didn't work, now he's toying with me mentally with the different predators. And if you want to add the disease physically as well. So once my predator died when I was 17, that last and final predator, that's when I really started dealing with my trauma, wanting answers. As I gotten older and I realized that this is not supposed to be it. This was not supposed to happen. In times, in moments in life, why I remember I tried to say something, but nobody was listening. Well, they were listening, but it was swept under the rug. See, not only did I try to tell somebody when I was 6, which was my grandmother, and all I remember is her fussing. I also tried again when I was 14, when that third predator was touching me. I remember going to my mom and telling her exactly what he was doing to me. Because again, I had some kind of incline that this is not right. By me telling my mom, she took it to her sister because the predator was her husband. And all my aunt can say is, no, he's not doing that. She's just blaming everybody for what the second predator did to me. And instead of my mom really listening to me, she did the best that she could do and call herself protecting me and keeping me away from them. But that didn't help, because if someone would have actually sat me down and explained to me that this isn't right, this is not normal, I think my trauma, or me handling my trauma, will be a little bit better than what I'm doing. So when you not believed, let me ask you this. When your truth is dismissed, how did it make you feel? See, for me, I feel like it teaches you something dangerous. Teaches you to stop talking. Feel like teaches you that you have no voice, or no is not an option. Like I said, it teaches you that your voice just don't matter. So I went quiet. I went silent. I didn't go silent because I had nothing to say. It's because I didn't feel safe saying it. Didn't feel heard. Didn't feel like anybody cared. And in fact, began to really think that that was normal. Not realizing that from that point on, I wasn't living, I was surviving. But since no one ever sat me down to talk to me, I just went through life believing that it is what it is. Now, the way it affects me is I go through my days and I push my emotions down, acting like everything is okay. Like what happened to me didn't affect me, because that's what strong people do, right? Not to mention the embarrassment of how long it took me to realize that this was not normal. I blame myself because no one ever told me it wasn't your fault that this happened to you. I find myself trying to hold it together, trying not to break down or to show weakness. But what nobody tells you, that the survival mode will keep you alive, but it won't let you heal. This is why I created this platform, because it's time to stop surviving and it's time to start healing. At some point in my life, something changed. It wasn't overnight and it wasn't all at once. But slowly I realized that this wasn't normal, that it's not okay. And most importantly, that this is not who I am. And that by me having children, I didn't want them to think the same neither. That's when I decided to admit I have an issue. I had an issue with forgiving. I had an issue with forgetting. I had an issue with just dealing. I was mad at the world, taking it out on everyone because of what this trauma have done to me. Can you imagine as a child going through life not understanding why my body's having these different feelings? Not only that, trying to figure it out because no one ever sat you down and told you it wasn't your fault or what happened to you isn't normal. That's a constant battle. Then when you begin to have your children, you become that overprotective mom because you want to save them for what you've been through. So it begins to not only affect your parenting, it affects your relationships, it affects you as a person, you as a whole. And when I realized this, that's when I began to start finding my voice. First, it was a little shaky. I was uncertain, but there it was. And the more I used it, whether it was in a good way or a bad way, and what I mean about a bad way, building these guards so high up around me that no one can get close to me or allowing anybody to get in. I was quick to be mean to anybody, any man. I blamed all men for what happened to me and thought that they would do it to my children. So I went through life being what you guys call a bitch. When I realized what this voice can do, I used it for all the bad reasons. I mean, all the bad. Fighting, cursing. And I ain't gonna lie, I still find myself doing that every now and then. I'm human. You piss me off, you'll see another side of me. But I also know that I have children watching and teaching them to be different and teaching them that you don't have to live life like this and traumatized and angry at the world. I started setting boundaries. I started speaking up for myself and others. I started choosing myself. And let me tell you, that's not easy when you've been silent your whole life. But now I understand something I didn't before. My voice was never the problem. The problem was the people who didn't want to hear it. And I'm not quiet anymore. For so long, I was quiet to survive. Now, I speak to heal. And my voice is loud for a reason. So, whatever it is, stop holding it in. You don't have to carry it alone. Bring it to the table.